Hello and welcome to the stream. Wednesday night means painting night, so it's once again me. I'm going to be painting my Bloodball Ogre team, and we're joined again by Simon.
Hello again. I'm going to be carrying on with this beastie, the Mastodon.
So when we can start seeing that we've got people in watching, we'll do some more talking about the giveaways that I mentioned on the Facebooks and everything, and Twitters and all of those things earlier. So until then, I guess we
Until then, we will lament that our Balthazar gold has dried up while we weren't looking, and I was planning to use that tonight. So reach for the paint rack and find something similar. Always the way. Let's try an army painter greedy gold tonight instead.
Okay, so
which are you painting tonight, Ricky? More of the Nobblers, or are we?
a bit of both now. I think I've got I have just done straight out instead of putting a base layer down, just going straight over the primer onto these Nobblers to make it look a bit more grungy. So I have, but I'm not sure which one I prefer. So I've messaged some people and asked them, but in the meantime, I think I'm gonna start doing some of the some of them have got skull caps on, so I'm gonna do some leathers. And then I can pick out leathers that I've missed on the ogres themselves as well, and then just pick away at bits like that, going over them and stuff. So
I'll be back with you in just 2 seconds. I've just got to go and get some cloth because my paint has just chosen to explode. So hang on just 2 seconds.
You're having some luck with that. Okay, so until then, I'm gonna just carry on. So I can see a few that need so like there's leather, so I'll use the snakebite leather for that. And I've got some wildwood because some of them have got like shields and stuff on them, so I'll do some wildwood for that as well after the snakebite. I'm probably going to use a smaller brush because the Nobblers are tiny.
Well, speaking of contrast paints, I was had a little bit of a go after last week's stream, and I've started on the void shield generators on the Mastodon, and I've used a Kellyan green over lead belcher, which has come up with quite a nice sort of. You can just about see the lead belcher through the Kellyan green. Sort of nice sort of start to a glowy effect. I just need a way of bringing it up a little bit now, so I'll find something to highlight that with maybe later on.
I've done something similar. I've done something similar with the with some of my orc or death dreads because I had I put some like blood angels red and flesh terror red over a base coat of lead belcher and give it a nice like metallic red look instead.
Yeah, it's sort of quite a sneaky little way of getting a metallic colour that they don't do an easy metallic to find for. I always used to do it when I had my Necrons for the Catan and bits of sort of lead belcher with a watered Dark Angels green, Caliban green as it is now, to give them a sort of that glowy power swordy look. It's just a quick and dirty power weapons and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So like we were saying last week, they're not they're not the be all and end all. They're not the ultimate solution that they were marketed as when they came out, but they definitely are useful and have a place in the toolbox.
They definitely do.
Especially when you've got like hordes of bloody boys to paint.
Yeah, once I get off of off of Marines and back onto my Guards, I will be using them a lot more to fill out details in uniforms and flesh. But I don't get on as well with the contrast for big flat areas. I find they
No,
dirty it up a bit. So
no, there is
sticking to
that
the old
problem.
fashioned way.
Um, and like it's weird, like the colors don't quite look right either on the Marines. Like it'll say Macragge blue, and when you put it on there, it doesn't look like the Ultramarines blue.
Yeah, I remember Kieran painted us a store demo army with the previous 40k starter set down in Carmarthen, and he did them as Space Wolves, and he's done a lovely job on them. He used all contrasts to show them off, but they are definitely darker than your average Space Wolves in terms of
Yeah,
the armor tones and things like that. It's sort of funny how I guess if you paint an entire army in the one colours, that's fine, but if you've got some started the old way, you'd really have to decide which way you were going with them.
yeah, it's strange like that. It just doesn't. Well, it's just one of those things, I guess. It's they want they had to try and well, when you bring something out new, you've got to try and make out that it's the best thing since sliced bread, haven't you? So,
Yeah. What was the thing before sliced bread that was the best thing that sliced bread came along and beat, do you think?
uh, bread.
The best thing since bread, yeah, I suppose. Can't imagine all these peasants going, oh, I wish my bread was ready sliced. Oh, it's such a chore having.
I wish I had bread. But yeah, it's weird that someone sliced a loaf of bread, and you know what? This is the best thing since sliced bread.
Maybe people's expectations were particularly low back then. Who knows? I just noticing I'm just going off shot as I hit that, so I'll try and drop my hand lower. So filling in these. I haven't quite worked out what these bits are meant to be, whether they're like just fancy decoration or whether they're shrapnel launchers or something like that on the front of it. But they're going to be gold anyway. They look pretty. Still haven't figured out as well where I'm going to put my extra black to tie it in with the rest of the vehicle theme on my army. So as I was saying before, normally I hide the black in the recess plates. So if you imagine on a Rhino, you've got rear recesses, and that's usually a good place to put the black detail. But on this one, you've only got really the one proper recess plate here, similar to a Land Raider, and the rest of it is all over armor rather than under armor. I'm like, well, where do I put some more black? So I might be brave later on and just take a large amount of black to one corner of the model and see what it looks like, and then cry a lot when it doesn't work.
I tell you what I found out, like from a YouTube video, I think yesterday, is that land speeders and land raiders are named after someone rather than being like in world, like,
Yeah,
and it was like, all right, just assumed that they were.
yeah. If I remember rightly, it was the explorer who discovered the standard template construct for them while rediscovering bits of the Imperium or something like that. It's one of those weird, odd things. Have you had a proper look at the new land speeders they've just brought out?
Not
The new
really.
Primaris variant? No, they do
No.
look rather pretty, but I've been holding off putting any Primaris in this force because they're all sort of Mark III and older Mark's armor and a bit sort of throwback looking. I don't really want to add Primaris to them because I'm trying to keep it as a sort of a condensed and thematic force as possible. So I might have to start another lot of Primaris at some point. At a different point in the chapter's history or something. But then
Yeah.
maybe I'll end up having to do an entire battle company of them and regretting it about halfway in. There we go, that didn't go too badly. Touch up there. Let's see. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's looking good.
Good. I think I'm going to wash that over with some Seraphim Sepia or Light Tone if I can. Depends which I've got open. So, despite owning the game as Emporium, I am reasonably good about not taking too much stuff home for myself, which means my paint shelf isn't as impressive as it should be. Because the temptation is just to take one of everything home, and I have to fight that temptation.
Yeah. So the other thing, I even though I said no more Blood Bowl until these were painted, you tricked me, you tricksy hobbit.
I did my sneaky sale, gotcha.
Yeah.
What?
But I pulled some Drakari, so
Oh, nice.
so
Yeah, it was quite entertaining putting those mystery boxes together because I wrapped them all up, so I had literally no idea other than roughly what they might have been. So as the orders were coming through, I was literally just reaching into the box and pulling the first thing out and going, "Oh, what's? Maybe he's got a thing. Who knows?" But it's the second time we've run it. The last time we ran it was back in October, November, when we were just allowed to reopen again for a little bit. And it's quite nice because Games Workshop give us a little bit of a budget to do this sort of thing every now and then. And obviously not being able to use that budget for things like in-store displays or stuff at the moment because there's literally no point. We thought you guys might as well have the benefit of it. So I think I've still got 3 of the mystery envelopes unbought as well. So if anyone is thinking of putting an order in,
and
then
if any
there's a...
Drakari players happen to pull any orcs, drop me a DM. Oh, orcs, Nurgle, or Death Guard. Yeah, so if not, I might. Well, Kieran said I should just make a kill team out of them, but I think it's more likely I'll probably end up giving them away on stream or something at some point.
another way to do it, I suppose.
Evening, Sam. Oh, and I am bloody plugged in again, and the laptop is flashing at me.
Uh-oh. Go plug in, because otherwise if you go off, I'm going to have to quickly turn on my streaming things and try and get us back on.
It's fine. I'm gonna go and plug in.
Right, well, while he's off, I shall ramble about what I'm doing. So, my mission for this evening, you don't know if you can see it, I've got some little control panels and bits and bobs just by here, and there's a couple of others hidden around it. So I'm going to add some glowy buttons and bits of the control panels to give a bit of entertainment there. Can I reach the paints from here, or do I have to move? My headset is a little too short for actually getting all around my table, so if I go off, it's just got to run away to get more paint. A little bit of... I've got coat arms, what used to be rotting flesh back in the day when they made paints for Games Workshop. For a couple of buttons. They also make a nice screen colour, this glowing calculator screen. It's quite a nice little there. Excuse me. So those of you that are watching in the chats, what's everyone painting at home?
There we go. Yeah.
Hello, he's back.
I'm back. So, are you painting anything at the moment, Sam, or?
Funnily enough, I've just asked the same question. Yeah, as silence and the thing. Where are we at? I was doing a little bit of building and painting with Alad before he went to bed before we came on stream. So I was just saying to Ricky before we came on that he's got himself a little robo dog built, so he's looking forward to painting that with me later on in the week, which will be nice. Which means I must remember to undercoat it for him before or as soon as we get a dry day. But otherwise, I'll be doing it by hand. Since I've got sprays, I'd far rather do it that way.
I've actually got, I think it's the first time really that I've got a backlog of things that I need to build and not just paint at the moment.
What? So 2 Blood Bowl teams. Anything else on the
Okay, so
on the farm?
2 Blood Bowl teams. The plague furnacey thing. The plague or whatever.
Oh, Pizza Oven of Death. Let's call it
Yeah,
Pizza Oven.
Pizza Oven of Death. The new Lord of Virulence. And I'm sure there's something else.
Sam says she's looking at her bolt action for tomorrow. So the Japanese, you're still on, Sam, or have you expanded and added more to that?
I just want to have a game of something now, though. To be fair, like especially painting these guys, I just want to give them a run out on their Blood Bowl field, pitch, whatever you want to call it.
Do you have the console version of Blood Bowl at all?
I do, but it's not the same.
Not quite up to it, is it?
It's good, but the AI isn't very good. I don't want to play real people unless they're people I know.
Wonder whether it's worth a shout on the gaming rooms groups and see if there are any other of the Blood Bowl players who've also got it on the console that would be up for getting that game going. Worth a shout.
Well, I've got the new one coming out in August, I think.
A new Blood Bowl game, is it, on console? Or?
Yeah, new console to go with the new season on the
nice.
tabletop stuff.
No, I did see that some of the X-Wing players were encouraging people to buy Tabletop Simulator so they could get a game of X-Wing in until they can get back to playing it.
So I did buy Tabletop Simulator, so I will be trying to get in a game of X-Wing.
Nice. I was going to say, I quite enjoyed playing C4, which is a legacy board game that I played with Sam and Titch in store. But there's quite a good version of that on Tabletop Simulator as well, and I'd be interested in getting a bunch of people together and playing that, even though I've already played it. It's quite a fun one. We did start playing it with some of our other friends as well, but time and busy people, and we seem to all be free at the same time to do it. That's half the problem.
Yeah, and one of our friends is on about doing a D&D campaign. So, like, I might join in. Oh, well, I'm supposed to be joining an online D&D campaign. So, I haven't played D&D or anything since about a month or two before the first lockdown. So, because
good to get back into it. I never find, although we're playing on and off one with the group that I used to play with on a Thursday in the shops, I Titch and that sort of bunch. But yes, even though they've run a good game, it's hard to find it as immersive when you're sat by a screen rather than around people. So thoroughly looking forward to being able to sit around the table with people and play again.
Yeah, it was weird. Like I've run a game on um Roll20 before, and it wasn't the same as when you can actually play and see people and stuff. But I'm willing to give it a go. We'll have to try and do something for the con or something.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have a run off. But
Yeah. So Sam said she's painting a Japanese army.
that's cool. They were, I think I last saw them when she was in the middle of building, actually, so while they were out of command. So I don't think I've actually seen any of the finished ones. Maybe she'd post us up a picture if she's got any at a later point. Because that'd be nice to see where she's up to. So I've always been a bit scared of doing historical ones because I don't fancy trying to get the uniforms bang on. I suppose it depends on who you're playing with, but I think if I was going to do it, I'd have to try and do it with some historical accuracy. And I don't know whether my painting would be up to that.
Yeah, I'd probably struggle with that. Yeah, I can't imagine that I'd be very good at painting actual historically people.
I've started painting a bunch of pirates that I had. One of our suppliers was having a bit of a clear out, and I grabbed some pirate miniatures because I've got a Pathfinder pirate-based campaign that I'm thinking of running. So I thought I'll grab those because they'll be useful. But sitting down and painting them, real clothes are hard. It's like, oh, can't paint them all exactly the same. Lots of variants, and some of the colours just don't work right. So yeah, I've put those on the back burner for a minute because I'm just trying to get to look good. I keep finding little bits I've missed, so I'm flitting back and forth and finding little edge bits before I go back and do more of these.
I always find more that I've missed. Have we lost Simon's?
Are they still here?
You went really quiet then, so it was like,
It's probably just my thinking voice.
it didn't sound like there was anyone on. So yeah, I always find bits that I've missed afterwards, and then it's like, I'll pick it up again some point. But
Right. So that.
I've just noticed that all of this guy's inside his hand I've missed because it's holding a stupid bear trap.
Oh,
I could just paint it all like blood for the blood god, right?
yeah, he's totally just cut himself while he's doing it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm always finding bits that I've missed like that.
I think the thing I've learned more over the years, though, is to not care too much about them. So, that is true. So I'm finding bits after a wash is a right pain. Yeah, trying not to care too much and remembering that only you really going to see it as close up as you're looking at it, and everyone else is going to look at it from 6 feet away on the tabletop and go, "Oh, you've done a really good job there." It says trying to paint in between the buttons of the control panel because he's missed a bit there. Let's tidy this front up. Ah, no, that's interesting. first time round, as I was looking at this, I thought I'd gone over the edges quite a few times. And on further inspection, not nearly as many as I thought. So either painting on camera is doing me some good, or I'm just less critical.
Chris has got way too much on his painting table, he said.
Go on then, Chris. Give us a flavour of what you've got. Or more accurately, which one are you going to do next? When the mojo strikes.
I don't know what well, I know the chat last have said squig off, but like other than that, I don't know what order I want to paint things in. It's usually just I'll paint something that I fancy painting, and then paint a few boys until I get bored of boys, and then paint something else. That's how it
Yeah,
usually works with me.
I'm trying to make myself finish this before I move on to anything else. I've got quite a big sort of kit bash project that I want to get started on next. And I know if I get started on that, that's all I'm going to do for the next few months. So I'm trying to make sure I square all this away first, so I can get this out of the house and back to work, which is where my stuff lives. But yeah, it's getting to the point where I can think about starting to stick the turret plate on now, which is nice. I'm debating whether to leave the top turret off, because I don't particularly fancy drilling it to magnetize it, but equally I don't fancy gluing it on because it'll make transporting it more tricky.
Okay, so Chris has sent his list. He got Star Wars
Okay, yep.
Legion, then Marvel Crisis Protocol, Ogres for Age of Sigma, and Gene Stealer Cult.
Just a few then. Just a few.
Got some Plague Bearers you can paint if you want to change it up, Chris.
So I've got some Gene Stealer cults that have been in my box of things to paint for about 2 years now. I started on the idea of painting some Gene Stealer cult in the same paint scheme as my Guard army, so that I could use all the tanks and vehicles from them, and then stalled on getting a flesh tone I liked, and haven't done anything more to them since.
And then on top of that, the kind of the new on top of that now, the new codex is kind of against souping again now, aren't they? So like you gotta pay CP if you wanted to soup them into your guard army now.
I've not had a look. I don't know, because the cults codex let you count them as having the same keyword, so I don't know how that would work. As I say, I haven't really done anything of so I haven't properly considered how they'd work in this edition. But
Well, I don't know. I haven't really paid attention to that because it's not. But like I know that for demons, Nurgle demons, you lose like contagions for Death Guard with the new Death Guard Codex, even though it's fluffy for Death Guard to be with Nurgle demons.
it'll probably be similar then for Cult and Astromel.
But until they get a Codex, you're still running on the old one, so probably good until then.
Yeah.
It's like technically with the demon with the Death Guard Codex, they said that so now you can't run 2 demon princes or
Oh,
lords.
boo.
because in the same detachment.
Yeah,
So like all because and that covers with lords as well. So you can't have a lord of contagion and a demon prince because of some sort of jealousy rule. They don't like
yeah,
sharing power. So it kind of puts Death Guard in a bad place. Um, uh,
yeah. How many demon
HQ,
princes do you own?
I own three.
Pick the one you like best to play with. There's
Uh,
gone the days when you'd have all of them on the table.
yeah, but not even that. You can't. So like it puts them in a kind of bad place for uh HQ choices because most of the HQ choices are lords. So even the Chaos Lord would have that Lord word that means that you couldn't have a Demon Prince and a generic Chaos Lord. Um, you can't. So like it is basically Demon Prince and
Or Chancellor, yeah.
and
Sorcerer,
and a sorcerer or a playcaster. So those are your HQ choice combinations, which isn't very fluffy for Death Guard when Mortarion hates Psychers.
yeah. I suppose you could run them in different detachments.
Yeah, but that's it. You'd have to run different detachments to get them on the table. Multiples of the HQ choices in on the table, and then you got so you can't run them with demons anymore. Like I never used to run demons anyway because I didn't have enough demons and stuff ready. Because basically the demons that people run with Death Guard was Nurglings, just so you could chuck them up the field, whilst Death Guard are slowly making their way up, halfway up the
Yeah,
board in 3 turns. So, but like I tend to go with Ruler Cool anyway. It was like, ooh, this guy looks fancy. I'm gonna play him rather than ooh, these Nurglings have got OBSEC. They can deploy on the objective, and they take stupid amount to kill them. So
yeah.
yeah, that
Rule of Cool is definitely the best way to build an army.
yeah, it's technically why I ended up with a Death Guard army, because like I really like the Mortarion model. So like that's after buying going off as Rakiran on Dark Imperium, I could have still at that point gone, you know what? I'm good with this. I'll use them as elite, the Plague Marines as elites in my Chaos Army.
But
Um,
no,
but then I do really like that Mortarion model.
trying to get the targeting sites now on some of the weapons. But
Because they are pretty good with the um, centerpiece models now, and
yeah, fair play. Over the last 5-10 years, their big models game has really come up.
like I really like the Age of Sigma orc on a dragon.
Oh, the Maw Crusher, yeah, he's lovely.
Um, uh, I've been trying to work out what I could run him as. Because I don't want to buy an orc army for Age of Sigma as well.
Different Squigoth.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. This is probably, I don't know, it might be about the same size. I'd have to have a look at a size comparison, I guess. But yeah, I really like that. Kieran got oh, Archeon the Ever Chosen. That's a really nice model. Uh the Grit and Clean one that I picked. Well, Adam got me was is a really nice model. I can't
Yeah,
think
I've
of.
seen the high elf one, the Sylvaneth one, Alariel. She's a really nice model. I've seen some nice conversions with her as well. One of our customers does some really beastly conversions, and he's brought in a couple of photos. That's very good.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything. That I've any of the big ones that I've seen that I think I don't know if I like that. Like that one that they brought out with ninth um for
The Necron
Necron,
Silent King, yeah,
or the Shard of Catan or whatever however you pronounce it.
yeah.
That one, the Void Dragon-y thing. They are both nice. Um, did you see? Have Kieran shown you what Miles has done with his
No, he hasn't
Demon
as yet.
House? Oh, it's up in the. I think he put it up in the Discord as well.
Oh, I'll have to go and have a look at that after.
So like, yeah, it's looking nice.
Come up nice, is it? Well, not surprising given Miles paints like a demon.
Yeah, it's gonna look cool when he's got the two wolves done as well.
Right, wash. So, yes, you are. Keep catching my mic on my earpiece wires because I'm sitting quite far from my laptop. So apologies if there's random clicking in the background.
I tend to accidentally stand on the mute button sometimes because it's so long. Not so
Uh,
much when I'm at this table, but when I'm playing like the Switch games, it's like right there. So yeah, if we'd had people come in, I think we've only got like, because you're in the chat, um, Sam and Chris. I won't do the giveaway today, but we can. If you're watching this after we've uploaded, we have got a load of stuff. You could go and check it out on our Facebook page or our Instagram. We've got a load of stuff that we're gonna be giving away. So there's some hero clicks for you to paint yourself, X-Men ones, and we got some Magic the Gathering cards and things like that. Um, for the Magic the Gathering stream. So what we'll do is if we get to so I would have given one out randomly today if we'd had some people in the chat, but instead, anyone who goes and shares our page, follows us on Twitter and shares it with, I'll post up something later oh well, not later, tomorrow on our Facebook page about what you and then if you can share it and like it, and we will enter you into a draw to win one of the X-Men of your choice in next week's stream. There we go. Sound
Can
like
you
a
remember which X-Men we've got? to give
Okay,
away.
so we've got Cyclops, Wolverine, Storm, Magneto, Cannonball, Emma Frost, Warbird, Magic, Psylocke. Did I say Cannonball?
I think you did,
Okay,
yes.
so I could quickly check, see which ones I've missed. Okay, so Wolverine. Uh, Things aren't easy, are they?
I think there's 9 different ones, remember rightly.
Okay, so who did I miss? I said Cannonball, Magneto, Cyclops, Warbird, Emma Frost, Magic, Storm. So I think I got them all.
Oh, good skills, that man. That's a good old collection, and they're nice little. HeroClix are a bit smaller scale than 40k, it feels like, but yeah, they'd be fun ones to paint. I guess you could pick your favourite era of X-Men and paint them up in costumes to that era.
Yeah, like Adam has got the Wolverine one, and he's painted him in his X-Force costume. So, you could just pick away at what you want them to look like. I gotta say, looking at the figures, she's not my favorite of the characters there, but I really like the Warbird sculpt. That one is probably my favorite sculpt, even though it's not my favorite character. Um,
Who is your favourite X-Men, Ricky?
oh, this uh, Nightcrawler, but sometimes it's not Nightcrawler. Sometimes it's like Gambit or Colossus or Iceman or Rogue, or yeah, I'm just gonna go with Nightcrawler for now, because
Too much choice.
yeah, does Spider-Man count?
Probably in later comics.
He has taught. You had a book called Spider-Man and the X-Men where, like, he was teaching at Wolverine's school.
I should really get back into reading more comics. I think the last time I read proper series of Marvel comics rather than the occasional bit here and there was 80s and 90s. So I'm well out of date on my Marvel ones, which is weird because I've enjoyed the films and the Netflix series and things like that. But yeah, for some reason, just not got back to the comics.
And Chris is saying his favorite is Gambit or Cable, and then and he said you should check out the Marvel Crisis Protocol model of Deadpool. It looks really good. You like Adam's got a few of the Crisis Protocol models, and the thing that puts me off them is that the scale is really small. It seems really small when he's shown the photos of them
I think
as
what it
as I'm
is
painting these little things.
yeah, the Crisis Protocol ones are a finer scale. They're actually slightly larger than 40k scale, but they're more true scale. So hands and things are in proportion rather than slightly exaggerated as you get with 40k models, which is sort of like things like Infinity and Malifaux, which are similar sort of things. It's what makes them seem smaller because some of the bits that sort of they just appear to have more detail in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Sam's saying Rogue is her favourite, and Chris is saying the Crisis Protocol Deadpool is riding a rocket.
That's pretty cool.
Slim Pickens style, is it? Um, yeah, it was just that I guess the heads and everything looked really small when Adam said it was like, and like I think he said that some of the heads needed to be put together, and that really put me off.
Yeah, sort of very, very, very multi-parts. I think perhaps Games Workshop are better at the moment at designing the models, if you know what I mean. Although the Marvel Crisis Protocols sculpts are good, the sort of printing decisions and the cutting decisions are probably a bit better on the GW stuff in terms of how they go together.
Yeah, it does look great though. Um, and like he actually painted his Modoc, and that one looks really cool.
Just a bit of fixing on the tracks now because I don't know what I did, but I took a load of grey onto these somehow. Not even near any grey, so what I was doing here, I've got no idea. But, water runoff or something. Finally remembered to pick up super glue after last week's snapping bits off while I was picking things up and putting on. So should the tracks fall off again this week, I'm ready for them. You watch, they'll all be fine this time. Different angle, and I found something else I've gone.
So when you used to read Marvel, what kind of books do you pick up?
So I was quite lucky as a kid. I had a whole bunch of sort of 60s, 70s Marvel comics off of my uncles. So I had a whole pile of X-Men, a whole pile of different Spider-Man ones. I had original Power Man Iron Fist, Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, just a bunch of whatever they sort of felt like at the time. But that was sort of my introduction to the comics. And one that sticks in mind was a very early X-Men. It was a graphic novel in normal paperback size, which I think was a reprint of an earlier series they did. But it was The Island Walks.
The one.
The Island That Walks. So sort of they go out and they sort of detect a large mutant, and it turns out to be an entire island, Krakatoa type.
Krakoa.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's an early one of that. It's got Banshee as a prominent member. And yeah, it was just, that was a particularly good one. But then mid 90s, I would have been reading the Dark Phoenix ones and that sort of cycle. In the back of my head, I've got that I read, and I don't know whether this is a dream or a thing that actually happened, but I seem to remember there being a Teen Titans X-Men crossover back in the day. There was. Yeah, so that was in my collection, but a few years ago, probably 15, 20 years ago now, I gave them all to a friend from uni who was really into his comics, so I wasn't reading them, they were sat in my loft. I needed to clear some stuff out as I was moving, so I handed them all over to him. I sort of regret doing that now because the kids are getting to an age where, well, Alan's really into his reading, so it would have probably been a good thing to get him on, but there's so many more comics out there these days that
yeah,
I'll find a good series for him and get back into it with him.
There's well, that's how I got back into comics. Was when Kieran was really young. I started buying him Spider-Man because I found that when I was a kid, my gran used to give me Beanos and Dandies and Whizzers and Toppers and all of those
Yeah,
British
yeah, of course.
comics.
Yeah.
Um, I always felt that that was what made me more of a reader.
Yeah.
So like I bought Kieran comics because I thought, well, it'll encourage him to read. And then when I was buying them for him, I started reading them, and I got back into comics. So first with British reprints, um, and then I started writing them at some point. But so that was kind of what I like. My introduction was more through British stuff rather than.
Yeah, I did have I think the 1979 2000 AD annual was one of the other ones that sticks out in my brain as one of the things that my uncles had given me. And I certainly had a Man Show 2000 ADs as well. I remember reading Punisher fairly early on as well. But yeah, the 2000 ADs were when Hooligan's Haircut was a going strip at the time. So I don't know if that's still a thing these days, but
I've
that was
no idea. I gotta admit that.
probably a one-off 90s thing then. It was about a kid with a trans-dimensional warp in his haircut. So he had like a 90s quiff type thing going on. And there was a hole through the middle of it, and that was a trans-dimensional portal. It was very weird. Very 2000 AD, if you know what I mean. But
I'm sure someone will remember it.
if only Adam was on stream, he'd probably got a quote chapter and verse for it, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So
I wonder whether it's one that any of the con guests have ever worked on. Because some of them are 2000 AD,
yeah. It'd be
old
worth
hands, aren't they?
asking, like Dylan and Patrick, especially. Um,
Yeah, it would turn out to be by the author that they all hated that no longer works there. Why are you mentioning that guy? That was rubbish. Oh, sorry.
there's always something that some obscure thing that people hate that other people love
Yep.
and bring back
And
years later.
it used to be gaming, and now we're mainstream. Hurrah!
I know it's not so big gaming has gotten.
It's nice to be the socially acceptable hobbies these days.
So
Smudged a lot of seraphim sepia here with too big a brush. So
is
it's
that
worked a treat on.
all down to
All down to
Critical
me now.
Role? Well, I remember
No,
D&D getting really big again after um, Stranger Things.
yeah, I think it was already on the web because they before Stranger Things had come along, they sort of mentioned it in Big Bang Theory, and you had a couple of other things sort of around the same time. Starting to, I think it's just people like Will Wheaton certainly helped a lot with because things like tabletop and the guild and other stuff like that, just basically internet content going a bit more mainstream. Is I think the way it's been, but also then there's the sort of back to it people like us who've rediscovered it again in their later lives and with more disposable income. And I think companies have cottoned on to the fact that sort of adult markets have a bit more money to throw at these hobbies than the kids they might have originally been aiming it at.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, that you know, I think wrestling, for example, the most successful period I think they had financially was like the late 90s when they were tailoring it for like 18 to 40-year-olds male
Yeah,
because they're the people who had disposable income and yeah, and then now that they've gone back to trying for the kids, you've still got all of like middle-aged men and like well and young men like 18 to 18 to 50 moaning that it's aimed at kids now.
bless them.
But it's what it is. Like yeah, I can moan about it, but at the end of the day, I understand why they're going for those markets because comics done it as well. And then when people do stop buying, you haven't got the next lot of a slot
Yeah, you got
coming
to
through.
yeah, you got to bring the next generation with you. Otherwise,
Otherwise, you're
it all dies off eventually.
yeah, because comics had the massive boom in the 90s after going a bit more dark and edgy in the late 80s and so like well you had speculators as well in the 90s for the comics, but uh, in comparison, like X-Men #1 sold like 6 million copies, whereas
Yeah.
like I think Batman tends to be the highest selling today, monthly on average, and it sells about 100,000 copies.
Do you think that's also because web comics are more of a thing these days? I mean, I know, although I'm not doing sort of print comics at the moment, and definitely not sort of superhero stuff, I'm reading 5 or 6 different web comics that wouldn't normally have been my cup of tea, but I've just sort of stumbled onto.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Uh,
Well, it could be a future panel on that if we can find some local web, localish web comic creators and regular comic creators. We could put them in a room and make them fight.
but no, I don't know what it would be. It might just be overexposure and like Sam saying she read a lot of Ultimate X-Men, 2001 to 2009. And the thing with the Ultimate line was to reboot the line. Um, yeah, well, that's how I got back in. She's also said she gotta love Panini. Well, that's what I got. How I got back into comics was through the Panini books. Because like they're great. They are great value for readers. They got no value for collecting, but for reading, it's a great value. It because you get three different stories in one book, and often like they would do. So like if a comic runs in and the story goes across from like uncanny X-Men into adjectiveless X-Men and all of that, they would lump them together in the Panini comic so
Oh,
that you
cool.
didn't have to go chasing different parts. So it was really good in that way. Um, but and like they were available in um like WH Smith and newsagents. So they were really good for getting people
Easy
into the
access, yeah.
hobby. So yeah, I would highly recommend the Panini books. Like, don't go in, and you could probably find some if you wanna look for like a cheap way into reading comics. If you go on eBay or something, you could probably pick up a good run of those Panini books for like next to nothing. Um, I know
Might be worth a look at.
I ended up giving my ones to my cousin's boy because like they weren't worth anything, and he likes comics, and I could like uh just share what I had. So
Yeah, and hand-me-down comics is a good thing. Definitely keeps the spirit going.
yeah, well that was my way in. Hand me down comics was my way into comics. The ones my gran give me were like hand me downs from people that she babysat.
Oh, cool. Right, it's time. No, it's not. Found some more bits. Thought it was time to stick some super glue on it then. That's it. And some more control lights. Just noticed it's a painting stream we're doing and we're talking about comics. I suppose that's because we are the comics and gaming convention. It's entirely allowed, but
Yeah, well, if anyone's got painting things, suggestions or questions, I can pretend that I know what I'm doing. It's kind of like a hangout.
yeah. Right. Let's see whether we can get this to work without gluing it shut. Super glue there. It's all going to go horribly wrong. Get in there. No, get in there. There you go.
But to back on the first point before I went on the Panini tangent, is that Ultimate X-Men was basically and Ultimate Spider-Man were basically books that were launched to restart the line without all the continuity, so that you weren't bogged down and it was more reader friendly.
Oh, cool.
But the problem is, after 10 years, that
They got
continuity
just about, didn't they?
gets
Yeah.
bogged down. And originally they were like, dead means dead in this version. And then they went,
No, it doesn't.
no, it doesn't. We kind of shouldn't have killed off Beast, so dead doesn't quite mean dead anymore.
Oh.
And but I think one of the best things that came from the Ultimate Universe is Miles Morales.
Cool. Yeah, I've not really done anything with the sort of the more recent stuff, so I should probably get my butt in gear and actually thinking about the last time I was reading properly would have been about the sort of Secret Wars times.
All right.
So,
I really enjoyed Secret Wars. I actually I kind of wrote my
yeah, it was quite
dissertation.
an interesting series. I did back when I was at school have the old Marvel superheroes role playing game as well. But
Yeah, I kind of wrote my dissertation.
always interesting to run because you sort of had to have a bunch of people who were as into comics as you were. So I'm thinking, bar a couple of bits, that is not far off ready. Just in camera, oops, turn the light off.
I used to have I used to be in uni with a guy who would go on about that game. That's looking really nice. Would go on about that game all the time.
Yeah, it was all right as a system. But yeah, it was the adventures were really badly written. So you ended up having to sort of write your own. Yeah, so the question is where to put black on here. Let's just put the camera back for a second. Stop fiddling with the light. I haven't had a cat invasion this evening. All to the good.
Oh, you've mentioned cats now. Sam's going to go nuts in the chat.
Fan service. So what I'm thinking is a straight edge. Where's my font? There. What I'm thinking is maybe running a diagonal line of black across there as the second thing, but I'm not sure whether I want to come further back. Take it through that line instead. Yeah, it's going to be tricky to get right. I'm not sure I want to stick masking tape on it, but I don't know whether I've got enough blue tack to mask it off.
So, if you're looking at current stuff, Sam, the current run is apparently very good. I haven't read it, but I have heard plenty of good things about it. So I will kind of recommend it off that.
So back with you. I've just run away. Try and mask off the area I'm going to paint across. But getting this into a straight line is going to be interesting. I think what I'll do is I'll make a line of it across and then to thin it down. So what do you reckon then, folks of the chat and Ricky? Taking a area of black on this back section just by here, underneath the line of blue tack?
Uh,
As a sort of dag of other colour?
yeah.
It's either that or I sort of keep with the Under Armour things, taking this entire section to black, but I'm not sure I want it that regular, if you know what I mean. Let's see if I can find something to use as a reference image. Just going to pop my screen on share for a second. There we are. So, yeah, sort of is taking that black section there, but the reverse to how they've done it on Forge World. Let's see if I can find a better image of it. There we are. Yeah, sort of a reverse angle of what they've done there. I think that'll look all right.
Yeah, I quite like that.
So, kill that off then. Do I stop sharing my screen? There we are. Right. So, razor blade next. Where do I? Questions you don't want to be asking yourself. Where do I put the razor blade? On top of the fridge, of course. Where else would you put it?
Well, to be fair, it's out the way of kids then.
Yeah. Let's just take a little.
Okay. How would you paint like bottles?
So when I've done it before, I've done it in solid colours rather than things. So for a beer bottle, I'd probably base coat in whites, go for a dark sort of brown, green, and then maybe a sort of highlight area of a single colour to try and get that reflective look on it. So like a lighter green or a green and white to try and get that look on it.
So this is gonna sound stupid now because
Yeah.
Orc and Death Guard and player. I don't think I've got a dark enough green.
Yeah, I suppose you go with a brown instead then if you've got something sort of oaky brown looking, so like a old-fashioned beer bottle almost. But yeah, who knows really? There's probably some good tutorials online with much better ways of doing it. Right, moment of truth. Is this going to look terrible or good? And then the second moment of truth, can I match it on the other side? Done.
As some saying, not out of the way of the cat. Chris did send me photos of the Deadpool, and it looks really, really good.
Cool.
But terrifying. Drusius getting really badly beaten up by Gideon.
Change the side. There we go. Apologies to any brush purists out there, but to get into some of the mangling the point on this brush.
Oh, I'm terrible with my brushes. I think I don't try to do anything. Well, I don't try to kill them, but I just seem to kill them easily. Yeah. And that's not even including the ones that I know would die in when I use them on typhus corrosion.
Yeah, I find if you're always painting in the same direction, they tend. I know when I started, I'd paint back and forth, almost like you're painting a wall, and that seems to knacker them faster than strokes all in the same direction. But just getting into the habit of it as well.
I just don't think I was made to be a painter.
Not made for detail.
No,
But
it's the I just don't have the patience for it. I don't think. I like thinking of things that I would like to do, and then just knowing that I would never be able to pull it off.
it's that, but I guess the people that have got good at it have thought that and then tried it and gone, right, what didn't work about it? What can I do to try it again? I mean, I'm fairly convinced that when I take this bit of blue tack off, it's not going to be a straight line. I hope it's, and there'll be hours of painstaking trying to get it looking straight and repainting along the same line. But yeah, if you don't try it, then
Chris is saying that he loves painting minis. He just gets the shakes.
that must be really annoying. Is it just when you're painting, Chris, or something? Just when your muscles are tired from other stuff?
But because I had this idea. Yeah, we've been talking about X-Men for quite a bit, Jen. But he's on about painting the fine detail. He gets the shakes.
I see.
And
Yeah, hand tripod. So using one hand as the thing to steady the other one is so sort of bracing yourself and then bracing in can help to eliminate some of that. But yes, it is tricky to get in where you want to be. I sometimes use especially for bigger models, the model itself as a way of stabilizing myself as well. Right then, moment of truth. Let's peel that back. Not terrible.
so
Not entirely.
we mentioned it earlier, but as you've joined the chat, we will be doing something with like the hero clicks that we've got, which are X-Men hero clicks. So keep an eye out on our Facebook, and we'll announce how you can get your hands on them. Yeah, we've been chatting away about X-Men and comics in general tonight, as well as bits on the painting. And Chris said he's going to try what you suggested. So
Cool. I can't remember who showed me that, but yeah, it's thoroughly improved some of the things I did when I started basically bracing myself to.
So I'm going to quickly put you on the spot as well, then, Jen. The same as I was by Sai earlier. Who's your favorite X-Man? But yeah, like I got
Obviously,
oh, go on.
I was going to say obviously only first coat, but that's how the black lines look in there.
It's looking good.
So not terrible. Now I've got to do it on the other side as well, in roughly the same place. There we go. So that dries. Sorry, you were going to say, Ricky, before I sort your advice there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like when we went back onto the things, like when I say I like the idea behind painting and I think of ideas, like I've got Was Boom Blast Jet or whatever it's called,
Yep.
and I like the idea of orcs not really understanding camouflage and stuff, them painting it blue with like clouds.
Nice.
Because especially when you think of an orc jet, that's probably got a plume of smoke coming out of it. And then
Yep.
thinking of it being blue and white, looks like a sky.
Yeah, I can see how that would be tricky to execute, but that is a nice idea. What you need is an unlimited budget and a stream of commission painters to work for you.
I know. And go, this is what I'm thinking. Do it.
Paint for me, monkeys, paint.
Um, but yeah, I would. So like Beast used to be one of my favorite X-Men, but he's turned into a bit of a jerk lately. So I just replying to Jen. She said that her favorites are Beast, then Rogue, closely followed by Professor X. So yeah, I used to like Beast, and then yeah, he's become a bit of a jerk. So, and I would have got around it by saying he's one of my favorite Avengers. Oh, and she missed Wolverine. Because that's weird. When I first got into comics, and because when I was a kid and watching the X-Men cartoon in the early 90s, Beast is in there, but like apparently he was well known for being an Avenger in the comics.
Yeah, I would say he was an Avenger.
Like since the 90s, I think he's been brought back into the like an out and out X-Man. I like his little buddy bromance with Wonder Man when he's an Avenger. Right. I'm gonna put like some color onto these last three grots, and I'm gonna call it there for a night. Say,
No problem, I
I don't know
think.
if you want to just take over the stream or if you're gonna finish as
No,
well.
I think I'm going to finish up as well once I get this black on. I'm probably going to call it as well because my back is starting to cramp.
Yeah, I've done a little bit more on all of them. Like I think the ogres themselves are almost done. I've got to try and work out how to do their hair, and then pick out like details more or less. And then
Yeah,
nobblers, apart from the bottles, they just need a wash, and then they'll be done, and then it'll just be basing on them. So
yeah. The detail bit is always it's annoying. It's the most fun bit, but it's often the bit that takes the least amount of time. It's the grunt work of getting all the layers on first before you can put the fun details on. That's the more time consuming bit.
but also when you're doing that bit, you can see like it goes from grey to being like a colour. Whereas when you
Yeah,
start picking out the details, even though that's what makes them come to life, you just look and you think, I don't feel as if I've done much. Like all that work that I've done today, I can't see much difference in what.
Yeah, it's a bit disheartening, isn't it, when you're trying to crack on. Although I do quite like the discovering details bit you get. That sometimes you start to put paint to a model, you're like, oh, hang on, I did it, and you. I think you did some of that last week, didn't you? Sort of
Yeah,
finding toes poking through socks and things like that. But
yeah.
yeah, that bit is quite fun. Going, oh, I could do something with that, right? So, sort of finding all the little bits and bobs.
I think
So,
that's one of the things I like most about like um greenskins in general. In
yeah, they are very characterful models, aren't they?
yeah, like both in Age of Sigma and 40k. Just kind of they just seem fun.
Yeah, they've kept the comedy survived because older Warhammer was, or fantasy or thing, was a bit more light-hearted, especially with the orcs and dwarves, were always a bit of a sillier thing than some of the other races. And I think they've slowly dropped more and more of the silly as they've gone on. But they've still kept a lot of it for the orcs, which is nice.
And like whereas there's no real good guys in 40k. I like to think the orcs are, because they're just there for the fight. They're not actually
Yeah,
trying to kind of
take over the world
take
or
over the universe and stuff like the Tyranids or the other kind of like horde armies and stuff. They just want to fight. The humans and everything are kind of a bit on the racist side and
I like the idea that the orcs would just be hiring themselves out to whichever was going to get them the most fights out.
I like yeah like blood axes. I like the idea. Like I seen someone make basically a blood axe that uh, he was like a mercenary for like the Imperium. So like
Nice.
he'd dressed himself up as if he was like a commissar or something,
That's cool.
and they made a little like hologram of like an actual guardy person coming off his wrist, and I kind of like that idea.
There's some good and characterful orc conversions out there. I can't remember where I saw it, but there's a quite a good one of um, the Grots have taken over, so they've done every unit in the Orc army, but as sort of Grots having taken over it, so they've sort of got Grots in the mega armor, sort of trying to make it go that sort of stuff. There's yeah, I think it's called the Grot Revolution, but it's very well done. Grots are sort of commissar-esque figures driving orcs around. It's yeah, pretty sweet.
So me and Kieran, I don't know if I've said it on stream. I've said it to you in real life, but like me and Kieran have planned on doing like me making a Grot army to fight just a Fenrisian wolf army.
That would be fun.
So like
Oh my god, you'd go insane from painting that many Grots.
well I've painted a chunk of them anyway. Um but yeah, so like it'd be uh a couple of units of Grots with the red gobbo to give them stick bombs. Um Macari and um, Big Mac with shock attack gun as the HQs,
Nice.
and a mech gun as well as the heavy, and then Kieran's would be like mainly, I think the guy Santa Claus on the sleigh.
Yep.
Him would be his HQ because he got the wolves pulling him. But it's basically I've got to try and shoot him down before he gets into the combat.
Because otherwise it's all going horribly wrong. It'd make for a fun little scenario.
Yeah, so like little shot grot blasters versus wolves, and like with the Fenrisian wolves, it'll they do kill them if you're
Yeah.
lucky and hit enough, because yeah, they're quite closely comparable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd just be fun. And as soon as he gets in, they're just gonna eat through the grots.
All of them.
All of the grots will be just eaten.
Oh, could be a fun stream game at some point if a.
Yeah,
Because I guess as lockdown restrictions start to ease, we can think about adding some actual gaming to our output.
that'd be nice.
That would be nice. That doesn't look half bad, actually. Here we go. Right, I'm going to put that down before I break it and call that an evening for that. Do you know what? While I'm here, I might as well get a bigger brush and base coat that doggo with Abaddon Black rather than spraying it, and then it's ready for Ella to paint.
Yeah, so I've more or less put all the base coats on. Well, there's little detaily bits to do, but the grots are almost done as well. The ogres are almost done. So I think that is me more or less done for today.
Cool.
But
I think next week, if you are painting again, which I realise you're likely to be, I might actually, rather than painting along with you, do some kit bashing alongside, because I've got a project in mind to do something large and Imperial Guard or squat-esque, and I should have most of the bits I need to start making that next week. So if I haven't already started it, then I might start that on stream next week. And if not, I'll if I've given in and the bits have come early, I might show you where I've got carry on sticking things together and everything. So it's a project is going to be an Imperial Leviathan Mobile HQ or Squat Cyclops, which is going to be freaking huge.
for your army of massive things, is
My
it?
army of massive things, yes. It can, although I'm running out of space on top of the filing cabinet. Once we've got more money again, I might invest in proper display shelving. Yes. At the moment, it's all precariously balanced on top of my filing cabinet in the office.
Yeah, it'd look cool on a display, especially
It's just,
the um, Warlord Titan
oh yes,
with a
he does look.
with a knight in between his legs, making the knight, which normally looks huge on a battlefield, look tiny.
Oh, the knight gained some friends, so he's got some armigers, and I've got I think it's a Castellan half built as well. So yeah, there's going to be a proper little household of them by the time I'm done.
I think
I think the other thing that big things are easier to paint.
I quite enjoyed painting when I finally got around to it, painting the Gorgonaut,
Yeah,
because that was quite fun. I didn't feel as like, oh, it's too too big, it's too small, and all of that. So
Yeah, it's just with these 4-drop ones, holding them in place while you paint them is a pain. That's quite heavy.
okay, so I put all my lids back on my paints anyway, so they're all closed. And yeah, we will be back tomorrow. Well, we'll be hosting Sam on the stream tomorrow. Sam's going to be doing some Magic the Gathering stuff. We've also got some Magic the Gathering giveaway stuff that we got to work out what we're going to do with. So make sure you tune into um, Sam's show. And then Friday, I think we're going back to Among Us um, for Friday because Gideon kind of kicked our asses on Scott Pilgrim. Saturday then will be Stardew Valley and maybe some Pokemon if I'm up for it. But and then unless anyone there's nothing else scheduled for the moment, unless anyone decides that they want to jump on. But thanks for tuning in, guys, and catch you next time. Keep an eye
Catch you
out.
next time.
Keep an eye out on our Facebook for the details of how you can win some hero clicks. Bye.